Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Liberty Cowgirl Network. Thanks, everybody, for joining us tonight. I know it wasn't much notice, but we promised we'd get on and give a quick update after the big contest yesterday. So I just want to make this one of our open source updates on what we're tracking right now. We look forward to coming on tomorrow. Cowgirl D can't make it tonight. We need to all lend our prayers to her mommy and also to Bonnie's mother. Uh, both ladies are in ailment tonight, so we need to keep them close in our prayers and ask for the healing hand of the Lord to come down on both of those two beautiful ladies. So our hearts are with you, Cowgirl D and Bonnie. Um, so let's get right into it. Everybody's a little upset right now. We all went. I think there's just a lot of shock and dismay. Of course, I'm not surprised. In our last show uh, and in other shows, we've been trying to tell people to expect the unexpected, and you probably will not be happy with the outcome. And that looks like exactly the place where we're at right now. Now, let me just speak from my personal experience. It was a fabulous experience here in our hometown. Went, I was in and out of there within 10 minutes. I thought there might be issues with documents, with the IDs. I brought all of the documents that were required and necessary. So that was taken care of on the spot. There were plenty of personnel to help out there. I felt very secure. And there was even a local sheriff sitting outside of the local library where I went to cast my vote. So I personally had a wonderful experience at the voting booth yesterday, and I was real happy about that. The only thing I was unhappy about is that they gave out these little tiny stickers. And I thought, oh, well, that's just a sign of the times. But other than that, it was just awesome. And I do have to say, because I am here in Colorado now and have been for a few years, that it was paper ballots. And I have only voted on the electronic devices, I'll call them. We need to be very careful about our verbiage. So uh, it was a real pleasant experience, and I felt great about putting it in. Now, I knew what was going to happen thereafter, but that had nothing to do with the beautiful staff that was there. So, what do we know? We know that the electronic devices were used in over 49 states. We know in some states there were a mixture of both. We know in some states that these devices just quit working altogether. So we're hearing a myriad of situations that occurred. And we know, of course, the outcome is not final, but we can all see where this is going. I think for those of us that have a true large understanding, which is predominantly most of America at this juncture, uh, kind of know what to expect when we were heading into this and going to uh, uh, put in our. I'm trying to be careful about the words I use here. Our contest entry. That's what I'll call it. But if we're all tracking things, which everybody has been, we know here we are almost 48 hours later, still no outcome. Now, can we look back and ever think of a time when we had to wait days for an outcome? Is it even legal that they take days to finish finding the results? I think that only started happening when America started accepting it, and a lot of people share that sentiment. Uh, they just told us one day it's going to take longer than usual. We accepted it. It became the norm, and now here we are. We're still uh, 2 days later and don't even know the outcome of a national contest. So I think that's a beginning point for people to just look at and ask themselves that question. But what we can see is this is going to be a quick broadcast. So I want to cut to the chaser. We can see that this is coming down to Arizona, Nevada, and Georgia again. And it's kind of a replay of what we already saw in the big previous contest that happened. It's kind of playing itself out all over again. And we know in Georgia that it's probably going to lead to a recount in 4 weeks. Now, speaking of recounts, uh, right here in my home state, we have the contest going on between Lauren Lauren Boebert and her opponent. And her opponent at this point, I think the last time I tracked this morning, they were within 67 votes yesterday within one another. And today that now has now increased to 400. So, give or take, they're saying they're still counting. I don't see how that's possible. I don't think anybody can see how that's possible. But they're delaying this by telling us that's the case. There's still many more to be counted, and let's hope that's the case. But what we do know is that if that the count comes down to and it exceeds 1,500, uh, then the price to conduct a recount is then placed on the candidate themselves. Anything else below that number is an automatic recount, and the costs are then borne uh, by the state. But I bring this up because that's already occurred with Miss Tina Peters in the last contest, and she ended up having to come up with $250,000 to conduct that recount. And I'm not even certain if we even have an outcome on anything that even happened with that case. There's been a plethora of information on leading up to this, so we all kind of lost track of what's going on with that. So I'll have to make it a point to go look up what that's about. But there's just a lot of strange happenings going on in the last 48 hours. And we'll get to what some of the speculation is because, as I mentioned on our last broadcast, we are going to be reporting on SG and on and giving updates, verbal updates about what he says. And I do have one of those updates tonight. But something interesting that happened is the 17th letter of the alphabet. One of those drops actually came on live screen during a broadcast over at RSBN. So I found that real interesting. And by the way, if anyone wants to look it up, it was drop 4961. You can go look that up, and just found that very interesting is all. But what we all are getting information about now also is the military. And I think we've been prepping everybody. I've been saying all along myself in previous videos that I do truly believe that they are at the helm, and that everything will be all right in due time, and information would come to a slowdown, which it has, and we know that for a fact. What we do know is that where on a standard day there are typically, and again we're following current events, uh, maybe 3 on a normal day, uh, uh, EAM messages, which the military puts out, and these are emergency action messages internally, that on the date of the big contest there were a total of 18, and I think we had them put out in 2 separate groups. But this is a something to keep an eye on. This is huge. These are emergency action messages being sent around, and we understand that it's all related to the subs that are out there. And I'm going to not say the whole world, I'm just saying subs, the ones that move in water. We know that there's a very important one still missing, and we don't know where that is. But evidently, these were regarding British subs that were headed to the Black Sea. And in fact, supposedly there was a fire associated with that. Now, if you ask the British and what they're putting it out as this is old news, it took place days ago. But some are saying that is not the case. It's actually something new that just happened. And this should be very concerning to everybody because we know what these subs are carrying, and I can't say, but just let your mind go to the most extreme, and with the one that's missing, and that's exactly what it's carrying. So the Royal Navy is claiming that this was weeks ago, this fire, and we'll just have to keep an eye on what's going on. But there are many, many things that are happening in the background outside of what we're seeing. Uh, we know as a diversion tactic, also, we can already see in the mainstream, they're actually going to, with all of this to be said and going on with the big contest, they're actually going to try and bring in the tax return again and regurgitate this all over again. Mr. T's tax returns. Nobody cares about his tax returns, so it's highly unlikely that that's going to work. So, a lot would say, and we'll get on to what SG Anon said in a minute, but we also have the 101st Airborne uh, that we understand has been deployed over to Ukraine. And speaking of Ukraine, uh, there's news coming out today that there's been an approved and authorized additional $400 million to be sent over there. Now, the only reason that this upsets me personally is because on our local ballot, we're sitting here and voting whether school lunches for children should be paid for. And in any lay person's opinion, we're like, absolutely, there should be free lunch in every school system across this country. It shouldn't even be a question. That cost should already be worked into the budgets. And here we have it on our local ballot. So yesterday, believe it or not, it was questionable whether it was even going to be passed. And it actually, inevitably, they announced last evening that it did pass. Thank goodness for the children. But my point is this. Here we are voting on legislation for free lunches for our children in their school, and we're sending billions and millions of dollars over to Ukraine to fight a war that really doesn't concern us. Again, put that money towards our own border. But I digress, so let me get back on track. But we want to keep an eye out on these results and where they're coming from. Um, we know that they're coming from Edison Research. We had informed everybody that Mr. Lindell would be broadcasting live during this entire process. And if anybody got a chance to catch some of that, I got a chance to catch a whole lot of it. And I was tuned right into the real-time crime desk when a lot of the digital shenanigans were taking place. And I think millions of people were tuned into that. So we watched this in real time with our own eyes. Where does that lead us to while we're waiting for these results? Well, I'll get to that and what a lot of people are speculating. But what we do know, and what a lot are saying is that our country has definitely entered a phase of discontent and definitely political upheaval to come when these results are made final. So the enemy is attacking us in many ways in that we know of, that are unknown, and that are silent. So all we can do, what we do know is this: it's time to take our country back, and America is working hard out there to do that. And there's a lot of people who have been in this fight for quite some time, and they are truly going to, when this is all said and done and written, really history is being written right now, and the faces of heroes all over the internet are being seen in real time because they are on the battlefield fighting this battle, doing their best, Liberty Cowgirl Network and every other broadcaster that's out there right now that's trying to disseminate the truth and get out the real news, quote unquote, or real happenings as to what's going on in the country. So there's still hope, America, and as long as we're willing to fight for it, there's still hope. And there's a real positive message coming out from SG and on, in uh, that very respect, because we all knew that this mid uh, mid halfway point contest is how I'll refer to it. Again, I'm using these words and not saying certain words because we know that they're monitoring with censorship. But what we do know is that this whole, some want to call it a covert sting operation, if you will, is being documented in real time. And that I truly, truly believe in and always have. So that's what I'm going to place my faith in, that this has all been documented and will ultimately be used to fight this battle in the appropriate way as we get to the judicial process of this whole event that has been taking place across America right now. But let's get to SG Anon right now. He's right on board, just as I said, that everybody should be commended for their bravery to help spread the truth. Um, there's a lot of people that are still sleeping, so to speak, a lot of people that are just waking up. Everybody's in a real sensitive state right now because this is just a shock to everybody's consciousness as to what is going on right now, and particularly, those that have been following it, because we've been told of this big red wave that didn't transpire. So we have a lot of people that are very disenchanted at this very moment, but we need to keep each other uplifted, and we need to know that there is an end process to this all that is good and glorious in the end. But that this is definitely a shock to everyone's consciousness. Now, we understand that the NSG Anon is reporting uh, that the fact that this is taking place, not to expect to hear from the military for 2 to 3 days. That's just the information that he has gotten. In addition to that, we understand we won't be getting much more information as the close of this particular phase of this awakening comes to a close. And we have confirmed, and I can confirm from him, that supposedly and allegedly, I'll put that disclaimer in there, only one truther is being given the actual plan as to what we'll be seeing going forward. Again, I'm not going to put out my speculation as to who I think that might be. What I want to do is encourage everyone to use their own discernment and try to go out there, hi Cindy, and find who that person might be. So we know that only one truther is going to be given information from the so-called 17th letter of the alphabet and his team. And when I do the show with Cowgirl D, maybe we'll come out once we have a chance to speak as to some type of speculation as to whom that might be. But right now, we don't know. One thing he also did confirmed is that the National Guard is and has been on the ground and was throughout this entire process. That there is a possibility of an emergency alert this week. Of course, we've all heard this before, but what I'm saying is that the chances, and what he's saying is, of that happening are much more realistic at this juncture. Now, I can tell you this, here locally, we had a test of our EAS system, not only previously, but just yesterday. And I have a screenshot of that, and we'll show that on Sound Off with Cowgirl D and I when we have a chance to do more of a structured show, since this is just a very quick update on what's going on. So we know that. Um, we know that we're seeing the blatant fraud again. And also, what he's reporting is that with regard to Kamala Harris, he did bring out the fact that, not everyone has really been receptive to her from the very onset. She was never really liked from the get go. And over the course of the last 18 months, what we know is that different people have been playing these roles, these parts, whether you want to call them masks, whether you want to call them actors, what have you. Different people have been playing these roles. And evidently, she was taken into custody in a previous time, did make a deal. Um, uh, uh, and of sorts. Evidently, she did not live up to that deal. Hi, Jen. Thanks for coming tonight, sweetheart. I'm doing a quick news update, and we're going to do a more in-depth sound off with Cowgirl D. We're praying for her mother and Bonnie's mother, who has both taken ill tonight, so she is not with us. So, as promised, I'm just quickly putting out some of this post contest information that we promised we'd get to everybody. Right now, I'm in the middle of an update with SG Anon report. I understand he'll be coming out with another one quickly here too, but so far this is what I have. But to continue on, she made a plea deal. She didn't live up to that plea deal. All bets are off. The information we saw in the mainstream with her, I think that she had actually been detained by the Capitol Police for a DUI, no less. Now, again, I didn't see those reports directly, so this is all allegedly. So, he's saying we're really not going to ever really see her anymore, in as far as she is concerned. So, you know, we're coming to the end of what he's calling phase two, and I sign on to that. I completely agree with that. uh Hopefully there'll be some type of action here in the next 24 to 48 hours. Hi, Tin TV. Thanks for coming, girl. Oh, you ladies are wonderful. I didn't really expect anyone to be on. That's why I just jumped on. So I really appreciate you all are here. This is juicy stuff. I can tell you, it's real great stuff. We understand phase three is going to be the takedown phase, so to speak, of all of this. Uh, but there's a lot forthcoming, a lot to be optimistic about. Some could say and are interpreting this as the period that the 17th in the letter of the alphabet quoted, and that we've heard several times, which is a near death experience, because we have more than 3/4 of America right now that are very disappointed and just shaking their heads, and others expected it. We expected it. We got on the day before and said, we did our civil duty with getting everybody's to the poll and encouraging everybody to get there. But, don't manage your expectations to be happy with the outcome. And of course, here we are 48 hours later, and we're not happy with the outcome. But I can tell you it's getting real interesting here with Bober and Frisch in this election. And I'll tell you the funny thing about this guy that she ran against. This is a guy who allegedly got caught having an affair up in Aspen in a storage locker. So you can't make this stuff up, guys. It gets crazier by the day. But they actually used that in the campaign ads that ran for several weeks leading up to the contest. So, that's where we're at. Right now, that's the update report from SG and on. I encourage everybody to find him on Rumble to listen to it more closely. And, buckle up because we're in for a very, very interesting weekend. Now let's just get to a couple of dates, and of course, I don't give out dates, but I do want to report what SG Anon already reported, and then just add my 2 bits to that. And 11/11 is Veterans Day. We know that's a Friday that's coming up tomorrow. We know we've heard in the past in the 17th letter of the alphabet drops about, and others, big podcasters speaking of this who are supposedly in the know and in the intel world, talking about the 11th month, the 11th day, the 11th hour, and how Gematria fits all into that. And I can assure you, I sign right on to that. How many coincidences till it can't be a coincidence anymore? So I absolutely do agree that the Gematria and the timing of all of this absolutely goes hand in hand. So hopefully we'll be able to get on the air tomorrow and be able to talk about all these exciting happenings that might and might not be going on. But we're definitely keep our eye on the 11th hour tomorrow, and down to the 11th second, I think that saying goes. And that goes back to, if we go back in history, that goes back to when one of the top generals came in and ended one of the major wars. I don't know if it was World War II or World War one of the two. I get them confused doing so much research on wars, but it's a very significant date. Is the point, and definitely want to keep an eye on what's going on that. And then of course we have the T-Man talking about a very, very important announcement on the 15th. And there was something significant happening on the 15th as well. Okay, here's the pivotal thing is the 15th, the day that Mr. T said he had a special announcement for the nation, is also the same date that the original template for the Constitution or the Declaration of Independence, one of them was done in 1777. So it appears as though everything is coming to a crescendo here. And I'm tracking this. I'm going to be on this diligently for the next 24 to 48 hours. Something should come on. We're definitely going to jump on and give an update on what's going on in the background. We know that other things are happening abroad with these British submarines, these military alert messages that have all been going out. We know that in the day of the contest and the few days leading up to that, when everybody was seeing on the monitors all of the air activity that was going on, those were actually missions that were taking place by the U.S. military, because there's been a lot of extraditions going on, and we know that there's a lot of air reconnaissance going on. and a lot of that air reconnaissance had to do with taking people into custody that were actually trying to flee the continental U.S. So we have all these things going on in the background. We have all of these things in the forefront with what's going on with the election, and we'll continue to track and monitor it. I know all you wonderful ladies, and I appreciate you all being here tonight. 10, I'm going to stay up late tonight. I love the conversation that goes on 10 TV. You guys are right on it. And hopefully, between all of us, uh, we'll be able to keep everybody informed, because the main juncture of this was, and again, McInerney had come out and said that, to watch for the steal to happen. And again, I was tuned into the real time crime desk, and we are watching it happen in real life. And I have a few of those graphs that we'll show on Sound Off uh, when Cowgirl D and I get on tomorrow, and we can do all that share screen stuff and show you proof in real time and this is still going on, mind you. This has not stopped. So we'll have to see what type of action takes place in these next 24 to 48 hours. So that's a quick update we have here tonight from Liberty Cowgirl Network. We want everybody to tune in, watch 10 TV, the West Coast late night television show. She gives a great update, and of course, turn into Bonnie's. I don't think Bonnie's having the show this evening because her mom is taken ill again. Prayers for both of those ladies, continuous prayers. But we'll be monitoring Bonnie's channel for information also over the weekend. No, Cindy, I don't have any information about that meeting or the party that Flynn attended. And I'm going to get up in that tonight. Uh, he was taking general's medals, huh? Well, I can tell you that we are going to report when we get on to Sound Off. I am monitoring a lot of stories like that. I understand that a couple of others have been taken into custody, and quite frankly, SG Anon talks about that in his report, and we talked about it on the last show. We're at that precipice now where these public servants have to decide whether they're going to be good or whether they're going to be, are they working for the people or not? And we're definitely there, whether it's our local sheriffs, whether it's our medical personnel, whether it's our first responders, but most importantly, our military, because that's exactly what's taking place, Cindy. And Cindy, you've been on it all along. I think I've been right in lockstep with you from the very onset, as we've all been on these channels together and keeping track of things. Cindy, you need to come on our show. We need to get you up on Sound Off to talk with Cowgirl D and join the rest of the cowgirls, because you're full of information just like we are. But we have it rolling in fast and steady. I have press releases coming in directly from the DOD, and there's many. And uh, you're right. Real raw news. And I want to confirm that, a lot of people have a lot of stigma, Cindy, with real raw news. But you and I both know, and I even reported on one of the shows, General Berger is giving information out to one reporter and one reporter only. And that reporter is reporting through real raw news. So, we really need to keep tuned to what's going on. Anything General Berger puts out, you can rest assured, is what's actually going on. And again, we're being warned. The information is very, very slow right now, but we're at the point where it's about to start dropping, and it's about to be very intense. Between all of these wonderful podcast women and their channels, 10 TV, Stand Up Humble, and Bonnie's, and all of Chuck's channels, and all of the channels of all of the wonderful patriots that are out there that are helping to take back this country. We'll be able to defeat the mainstream media, the propaganda media, that's taking place right now, and we know that we're successful in that. So we want to look at, although things seem a little grim right now, we want to look at some of these big successes that are taking place in the background. And again, it's faith over fear. When you're armed with information, and that's why we're going to get on here and do this as the information is being dropped here now, as these days go by in this next 72 hours. That's our job. Our job is to calm the people down around us. Our job is not to pass judgment on anybody, but to stay in faith and really calm everybody with all the knowledge that we've been all blessed to be able to receive and understand and relate to the general public, while we're going through this historical period. One thing we do know is history is being written as we speak. And when we go back and our children and our grandchildren are reading about what went on during this time, we'll all be known as people who were out there taking a stand and fighting for this country. And that's what everybody is doing right now by sharing information. You are, in essence, taking a stand to help with the fight to win this country back. So, with that being said, I want to thank everybody for coming on. And we'll be on sometime tomorrow. I don't know what time, but we'll keep everybody updated as to what we have going on once I can get into all of these pages and pages of information that have come over my email, and try to put it in some type of concise way where we could put it out to inform everybody on some of these other things that are taking place in the background outside of the news that we're all waiting to hear. Again, keep your eye on Arizona, particularly Maricopa County. Keep your eye on Nevada, particularly Clark County. Keep your eye on Georgia and what's going on over there. And, just brace yourselves for what's to come, because I think inevitably we all know what's about to go on. So, all we can do is stay in prayer. Uh, and like the good guy says, never give in, never give up, and never back down. So, country on, everybody, and we'll see you on the next one. Good night, ladies. Thanks for coming. I love you all. Bye bye.